Okay, trying a new thing this time with this video. So you hear my voice, but you don't got to watch me. So I'm going to go through this blank screen, but uh-oh, go back here. I've already messed up. Here we go. I'm going to talk about types of exocrine glands. So remember on my previous video, I started talking about, or I ended talking about the types of glands and how we can classify them, basically versus simple versus compound, and then tubular versus alveolar based on their shapes. Now I'm going to look at basically the secretory portion, where is the secretions coming out, and we have types, or basically how they're releasing their secretions. So I have three main types. I'm just going to pull them all up at once. So there's merocrine, holocrine, and apocrine. Okay, so let's go through these. Merocrine, just the definition says the fluid is released through the cell membrane. It does not damage the cell. So basically, when it produces its secretion, that secretion goes straight through the cell membrane, and the cell is not affected by it at all. So a couple examples of that would be the salivary glands in your mouth, sweat glands that are producing sweat on your skin. Those are merocrine glands. Those can do their job without affecting the cells. The holocrine glands, holocrine will literally release entire cells. So basically the cell is released, it travels up through a duct, and then when it reaches its surface, that the cell basically bursts and releases whatever's inside of it. Okay, good example of that, if you've ever felt oil on the outside of your skin, that's from these glands called sebaceous glands. They secrete this oil. That's what really keeps your skin healthy. Those are holocrine glands. Think of it like this: the whole cell is released. So that's how I always remember holocrine glands. The whole cell is released. Apocrine or apocrine releases little parts of the cell, and those little parts of the cell are the secretion. Okay. Mammary glands, where breast milk is made, ceruminous glands, which is where your earwax is made, are both apocrine glands. Okay. And again, little bits or pieces of the cell are released with that secretion. Here's a way to remember that. A piece of the cell, apocrine, AP, right? Apocrine cells, or apocrine glands and their secretions. So here we go, a little visual, of what you see here. Okay, so on the left you see merocrine. Now we can go back to biology and talk about a couple of these things, but basically, when merocrine glands release their products, they release it through vesicles. Remember, vesicles are these things that carry products in the cell. So vesicles go to the cell membrane, open up that cell membrane, and release their secretions. Apocrine in the middle, you can see that there's damage to the cell because little pieces of the cell, and at the top of that diagram it says pinched off. They're going to be pinched off right there. So portions of the cell are released carrying the product. And then holocrine gland on the right, the whole cell is released. So you can see here a whole cell has been let go and it's traveling up to the top. In this one, cells are going to continually be regenerated, whereas here, we are not going to damage the cell. So those are all exocrine glands. And then this is the secretory portion that might be found like in an alveolar gland or a tubular gland.